Welcome to the show, mid-morning music and chat. Now to the world of theatre. I noticed tonight is the Oscars, and up for 10, Spielberg and the film of the Jewish experience of the Holocaust, Schindler's List. Of course, those of you who know your history and care to take a note will know that the concentration camps weren't just resting places for Jews, also for gypsies, for the disabled, and for the gays, anybody who didn't quite fit in with the Aryan dream. One of the most moving plays that takes on that subject of gays in the concentration camps is Bent, and Bent is being presented from Wednesday on at the Midlands Arts Centre in Cannon Hill Park by the Theatre Compound, and with me two members of Theatre Compound, David Rumelle and Maurice. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Can I first compliment you on your dress?
Thank you.
I don't mean dress, I mean style of dress. You understand that, David? Marvellous, I may say that, very flamboyant. And I suspect about 1 million miles away of what you'll be wearing on stage.
From my costume for Bent, yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's a very grubby striped outfit that's been made for us.
Right, and yes, and one of the things that Spielberg said about Schindler's List was that it was very difficult using the glamorous medium of film to get over the filth and the degradation of the concentration camps, and that's one of the reasons he went in black and white.
Yeah.
Happens on stage as well. As soon as you put up the stage lights, everything looks like Fantasyland and Fairyland, doesn't it? How are you going to get... That's a great choice of phrase there, Fairyland, wasn't it? But how are you going to... How do you get around that? How do you get over that feeling of hell on earth?
The set for the production is quite stylised because we're using a small studio theatre. We haven't been able to do a realistic set. It's a stylised set with very real action. So people will see a stylised fence, a stylised 8-foot fence, and a stylised pink triangle hanging above the action. But the action will be very real and very convincing. So it's that mixture of surreal set but with real action.
Maurice, just explain that pink triangle.
The pink triangle was there for gay men in the concentration camps. David Rumelle here, who plays Horst, my second lover in the show. I play Max. And he's a pink triangle, which was given to all the gay internees of the camps.
I know in this country the practice of homosexuality was illegal at that time. Was that the case in Germany?
It wasn't up until about 1936 in Berlin.
Yes.
It was. I mean, I'm not sure whether it was illegal or. I mean, it came about that they clamped down on the clubs and the nightlife, which sort of cater for that type of sexuality. And
one of the reasons I suspect was because the nightclubs were a sort of hotbed of satire and sarcasm and criticism, weren't they?
For you know, all the sorts of things we have in today's society, really.
Which we tend to take for granted, up to a point. I mean, there is still the bigotry around if you care to look for it.
Yes,
if you don't care to look for it, you have quite a nice life. But way back there, you didn't have any choice, did you? Particularly in Nazi Germany. You were either a true-blooded heterosexual Aryan, or forget it.
Yes. I mean, the play starts in 1934 with the death of Ernst Röhm, and up to his death, homosexuality was tolerated, but when he was assassinated by Hitler, then there was the clamp down and clubs were closed, and gays were really persecuted from then on.
So I think they had a sort of quiet, easy time up until then.
It was a big West End hit for McKellen, and you were telling me Tom Bell.
Yes.
Right, and has it just been released for general outside production?
It's been out it was first done in 1979.
Oh, a long time ago.
But this is the first professional production of it in Birmingham.
And is there a reason for that? Is it a difficult play to take on? Is it the subject matter or something, or is it just because people haven't got around to it?
No, it's been performed quite often over the last 10 years. I mean, I live in London. It's just come off a theatre in London.
Yeah, I mean, but with all due respect, I can understand it being in London. I'm just thinking out around what you laughingly call the provinces.
I mean, the last production here was at the Crescent.
So it has been done.
It's been done here. Yeah,
it's a bit like Schindler's List. You have to steel yourself to go and see it. I mean, I was not looking forward to going and seeing Schindler's List, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I mean enjoy in the real sense, is that I got a lot out of it. Yeah. And is it one of those plays you think, oh, do I really want to spend an evening in the company of people telling me the degradation and horror of gays in concentration? I think
so, because people think when they see the subject, they think it is going to be a depressing evening, but the play isn't. I mean, it deals with a horrific subject, and there are some horrific scenes in it, but there's a tremendous humour and pathos from the two characters in the second act. and by the end of the second act, we've moved from horror into gentle comedy, if you like.
Because it has been true, a lot of art and a lot of comedy and humour came out of the concentration camps, and people, you can't believe that, can you?
I mean, when people, are faced with this, I can only imagine what it would have been like, obviously, to play the part. But I think whatever wall you come up against in life, all you have, if you have nothing else, is humour. And that comes through with everything.
Spirit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's spirit. You can strip people away of everything, their possessions, their whatever, but eventually you can't take away someone's humour, which will always come through. So I think, in our dealing with the play, going into it and the script and stuff, we really pulled that out, dragged it out.
One of the things Spielberg said in an interview, you'll excuse me for drawing the parallels with Schindler's List, but it's very big a subject at the moment, and I think it will help your audience coming to see that, is that before you actually classify the Holocaust to history and say, right, that was a long time ago and it couldn't happen again, think of the obvious places like Bosnia, think of Sarajevo, think of Iran, Iraq, and places like that, and what went on. He said, but also think of every time you've said something about somebody who was slightly different to yourself. He said, because that's what Hitler played on, our basic fears, our xenophobia. And he just said the Jews are getting all the jobs. And that's the same sort of thing that goes on in houses that are listening to this show now, where people say they come over here, look at them, and use the word them, and start to depersonalise people. And that's what Hitler was very clever at doing, wasn't he? Depersonalising.
Yes.
He compared the Jews to rats, didn't he, in Birmingham?
Yes.
I think it's important to mention that the play itself is not just about gay men and their struggle. I'd like to get that across. It's not just about a gay struggle. It's a people play. It's about people's struggle against, as you've been saying, prejudice, bigotry. It's about that. It encompasses all of that. But I think, the important thing with it being gay is because gays have been written out of history completely,
Well, even in the Holocaust,
even in Schindler's List, you very rarely saw a pink triangle.
But I have to say, the whole thing about Schindler's List, it was done from that very specific Jewish viewpoint, Poland, and one man. It is the story of Schindler, and the basic Holocaust is the world in which he lived. It's not a film about the Holocaust. Are you saying? That's one of the questions I was going to ask you. Is this a gay play? Is this a concentration camp play, or is it drawing parallels with modern society and saying, look, you can go too far, be careful how you start?
It's a play that will go right through the ages, if you like. Some plays date very badly, but this play is always it's always today. And I think, in future generations to come and stuff, it will still be there.
And in times of war and trouble, and it takes a very brave person to say it couldn't happen here, somebody said to me, they said your neighbours would very happily have you out of the street and move into your house and use the excuse of patriotism and war. And it happened in Poland, and there's a few heads being held in shame as Schindler's List does the rounds at the moment in that country, because nobody's got anything to be proud about. And it goes the same with France, doesn't it?
Why? Also in Germany as well. What's happening with the neo-Nazis in Germany now and things like that.
Well, thanks for cheering us up. You too. Amazing title as well before you go. Almost a pejorative title, isn't it? Bent.
Yes.
The sort of phrase that people...
It's almost used as a derogatory term, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's all, he's bent, he's queer.
Yeah.
Well, queer's coming back now in America, though, isn't it? That's okay.
Yeah.
But bent.
I think it broadens out on that.
I wondered if there was another meaning that I perhaps missed.
Well, I think bent... If you want to connect it to being gay, yes, then that was an old
But it can also mean crooked.
It can also mean crooked. It can mean anyone that doesn't fit into the norm.
Yeah.
Could be described as bent.
Bent plays the Midlands Arts Centre from Wednesday to Friday at 7:30 and on Saturday at 8 o'clock, okay? So you've got half an hour extra in the bar. All right, it's the theatre compound. I wanted to talk specifically about Bent, but sometime we must talk about your theatre group, because you're doing a lot of stuff, aren't you?
That's right, yes. We're Bent is our first production, but after this we're hoping to perform a repertoire of plays in Birmingham and then take them on the Edinburgh and London Fringe. So we have 2 days doing, say, Bent, 2 days doing another play, 2 days doing another, and eventually...
Oh, travelling rep.
That's right, turn it into a travelling rep.
Bend a leg, twice nightly. The box office number for the Mac is 021 440 3838, 021 440 3838. Say you're booking for Bent from Wednesday through to Saturday, and my thanks to David Rumelle and Maurice from the Theatre Compound for being part of this show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gordon Astley.